Many industries, many factors, many of these situations are today converting that rural places as the hubs of industrial growth. Many industries, many factors, many of these situations are today converting that rural places as the hubs of industrial growth. They want to promote the entrepreneurs, so they are coming up with capital intensive programs, they are coming up with marketing related solutions. Good morning and welcome to the third session of the entrepreneurship development, and in this session we are going to talk about the rural entrepreneur. Quite an exciting topic altogether. Why? Because rural India is today's India's new face altogether. So let's move forward. The introduction to the rural factor and the rural entrepreneurship altogether. In general parlance, the rural entrepreneurship is defined as entrepreneurship emerging at village level, which take place in variety of fields such as endeavor, industry, business, agriculture, act as a potent factor for overall economic development. Quite an interesting topic. Why? Because rural India is today becoming the new phase of India. And if you look into this sector, the rural development has been quite exciting journey. Many a times what people have felt that what can rural India do? What is the potentiality of rural India? But let me tell you, many industries, many factors, many of these situations are today converting that rural places as the hubs of industrial growth. Now, it might be a sugarcane industry, or it might be a food processing industry, chemical, automotive, or any sector, but then rural India is trying to become gearing up in terms of providing all the facilities to become the next entrepreneurial hub. Now, if you look into the dairy business itself, sometime back dairy was not considered to be a great business until and unless Amul came into picture, redefined the concept of dairy business. And afterwards, it's all history. We all know about it. Why? Because Amul went ahead, transformed the entire dairy business, and today you can see n number of private players in the dairy sector. Each one of them are equally well qualified in terms of their services, in terms of their logistics, and so many factors. So similarly, if you start looking into agriculture as a business, even agriculture has become one of the most important factors through which the rural India is getting into picture. Followed by, when we talk about the role of a rural entrepreneur, now the rural entrepreneur's image, I just don't want to go by the image factor here, but just to tell you, it certainly implies the entrepreneurship in the emerging rural areas. In other words, establishing industry in rural areas as for the development factor. In this case, I would like to give you the example of Gurgaon, Manesar, Mohalli, all these places in Haryana state. All these small places, districts at once upon a time were just sleepy towns on the highways. But today, when you look at Gurgaon, when you look at Manesar, when you look at Mohalli, all these places are so well developed, including Sonepat. All these places are so well developed that you will not claim them anymore to be a part of rural India, but they are a part of the Millennium India growth development. In fact, Gurgaon was named as the Millennium City of the year of the century altogether. The reason being is that these centers have identified the development process so well and so quickly that they have been able to adapt themselves to any situation given there, and all that situation they have been able to see is that the development has been happening so rapidly. So it's really a matter of pride, it's really a matter of honor, which we are seeing this development happening on the rapid pace, on the rapid levels altogether. Now, let's also try to understand this factor clearly, that at any given point of time, it becomes highly important for each one of us to understand the concept of entrepreneurship, to understand the concept of growth altogether. Now, what is happening here is that many times we are feeling that somewhere down the lane, we have to go forward, we have to develop ourselves, and we have to rebuild the situation. Now, in rural sector, what is happening is slowly we are building the capabilities, we are building the infrastructure, we are building the community all together, where entrepreneurship is becoming quite synonymous quite obvious in terms, and people there are also interested in taking up the roles of becoming a new entrepreneur. Followed by the motivational factors. What's the motivational factor here? The first one, better distribution of farm produce, which results in rural prosperity. Let's talk about Big Basket. Let's talk about Grofers. Or let's talk about any other e-commerce, including JioMart, or let's talk about Patanjali altogether. All these people have understood the potentiality of the farm and the agricultural business altogether. They have tried to capture the rural market by saying that they will take it as a collective business, directly take it from the farmer, give a better price to him, and then pack it and send it to the customers altogether. So today what has happened is that the farmer has been able to reach the towns and villages and cities with better logistics altogether, which results in rural prosperity. Now that is going on to the next level as far as possible. This is changing the landscape altogether. This is definitely bringing in a great amount of success. Second, entrepreneurial occupation among rural youth is resulting in reduction of disguised employment, the unemployment factor. Many times we have always feared about this factor, what if you don't have a job? But then that was quite an obvious question that happened in India, and that has been happening for many years altogether. But today, with entrepreneurship coming up in the rural sector, many people have started switching and taking over new kinds of roles and responsibilities, new businesses. So no more we are going to sit back, relax and say that things are going to happen, but rather we are going to push ourselves forward in terms of development. So this is going to happen. This is going to be a really fantastic thing that's coming in place. Followed by the alternative occupation. Today, people are not just sticking themselves only to agriculture, only to the farm produce, or only to probably example like, flowers business or fruit business or horticultures or any of those kind of nature, but they are trying to move forward in terms of logistics, in terms of small scale industry, service providing, or probably they want to start their own small enterprises altogether. So entrepreneurship is providing an answer to all these kind of questions. The optimum and maximum utilization formation of big cooperatives like Amul. Amul is not just a success story, but it is the story, it is the morale of the entire entrepreneurship development, and it is one of the most interested and talked about topics. Amul started a cooperative not just for the sake of development, but for the sake of the progress of human mankind altogether. And that's how everybody wants to start big cooperatives today. Today, when you talk about cooperative banks, whether it might be about the simplest cooperative bank, or when you talk about Jan Sahakari cooperative banks, all of them want to follow the Amul story. They want to develop and they want to give this money to entrepreneurs, rotate the business, rotate the money altogether, and develop as far as possible. So definitely this cooperative society is becoming very, very interesting. The next thing is the optimum utilization of local resources and in the entrepreneurial venture created by the youth. So definitely when you see the optimum utilization that has been happening in terms of the entrepreneurial venture, the rural youths are getting benefited. They are working very hard and they are creating a great amount of success altogether. So all these factors put together is making definitely a wonderful place, a wonderful growth story altogether. So this is all where the rural entrepreneurship is headed, and we are seeing big success coming in our way. Followed by, I would also like to talk about the problems that are being faced in rural entrepreneurship, starting with the financial problems, the management problems, marketing, and the human resource problems. From all the four angles are very, very important for us to know and to understand. When we talk about the financial problems, we are talking about the situation where companies, where everybody are facing that money related issue. Who's going to provide you money? And being in a rural entrepreneurship, it is not that easy to secure money. Though the capital might be in a very small amount, but still people might not be interested in giving you money. So banks and other people do face a problem in terms of giving you loans and other kind of factors. Followed by the management problems. What is the management problem that is coming up in a big way? The management problems today are manifold, are many levels altogether. Most of the management problems are something where we are able to see that people in sense, are not able to run the business just like that. They have a lot of issues like manpower, capital, and so many other factors. So the management problem is also challenging, followed by the marketing problems. How are you going to market your products? How are you going to take it forward? How are you going to make people believe that yes, you are doing something credible in nature? So the human resource problems are also there. Less labor, you're not able to find the right kind of skill set and people. So the human resource problems are also coming in a big way, by which the rural entrepreneurs can get demotivated. Now, followed by the remedial measures to solve this problem. What are the steps taken by a rural entrepreneur here? Different organizations like ICFI, where we talk about the Industrial Financial Corporation of India, the Small Scale Industrial Development, ICICI, NABARD, are all trying to help the entrepreneurs by providing them the necessary capital, the necessary need altogether. Starting with the marketing problems are also related to this pricing, distribution channel, promotion. Everything is now being stepped up by these banks, by these people who are coming in front, who are trying to save the factors altogether. What they want to see is that they want to promote the entrepreneurs, so they are coming up with capital intensive programs, they are coming up with marketing related solutions, they are providing them a source of opportunity and growth altogether. Followed by the remedial measures will also include the following factors like creation of finance cells. Now you can look here, bank and financial institutions have come up with a lot of schemes, with a lot of ventures in order to provide easy finance to the entrepreneurs. Now when you look at Muthoot, when you look at Manappuram, or when you look at any of the cooperative society banks which have been created, all the small scale cooperative banks, they've all been done in order to provide some special finance, some kind of benefits to these kind of people, so that they will be able to take it up and move further. Followed by the concessional rate of interest. Definitely the interest rate at which you are providing home loan or vehicle loan to the corporate sector and to the common public is not the rate at which you can help a rural entrepreneur. So we have gone on concessional rates. We have been able to provide the people with the lowest interest rate as far as possible, which is actually helping these people in order to come up. The most important thing is the cumbersome process that necessarily tries to avoid sanctioning of loans to the rural entrepreneurs. Nowadays, we have bought easy methods through which the rural entrepreneurs can apply for loans, and the loans will be sanctioned. You will get a message on your mobile phone in terms of telling you how you are being able to get the money and what are the factors altogether. Followed by the remedial measures to solve, which we need to think about, is the training facilities. So we have to provide training facilities to the people who are taking entrepreneurship. We have to make them understand the success of the entrepreneurs, how you have to do the power supply of the raw materials, which is very, very needed, because most of the time there is a scarce in terms of raw material supply. So you have to go there, offer them. Subsidies are also playing a very great role for the rural entrepreneurs so they can get it. Setting up of marketing cooperatives. You need to see that most of these rural enterprises that are being set up, they need marketing cooperatives, they need avenues through which you can give them the facility of marketing. And the most comprehensive training, proper education, giving them better enlightenment and empowerment can make this entire setup even more interesting. So that's why I say that the comprehensive training, the programs, how we are going to look into rural entrepreneurship is definitely going to matter in the coming years. With this, I come to the conclusion of this session. I hope and believe that this session was highly interesting, useful, and informative. In the next session, we will be talking about the new factors of the entrepreneurship, the various financing institutions, and the growth phenomenon. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me on this wonderful session.